When my brother called my 12-year-old son a burden during Sunday dinner, I smiled and changed the subject. When he did it again 3 weeks later, this time in front of the whole family, I stayed quiet. But when I found out what happened at the lake house, the silence ended. And so did everything else. My name is Rachel. I'm a pediatric nurse, a single mother, and apparently the family doormat. I didn't know I was the doormat until recently. I thought I was just being helpful. Generous even. The kind of sister and daughter who showed up when people needed her. It started the way these things always do. Small, invisible. A favor here, a loan there. My younger brother Marcus was the golden child, the architect with vision and taste and an endless ability to find reasons why money hadn't materialized yet. He spoke in concepts, in portfolios, in disruption. He wore black turtlenecks and had opinions about negative space. Meanwhile, I worked double shifts at the hospital, came home smelling like antiseptic and exhaustion, and raised my son Ethan alone after his father decided parenthood wasn't his aesthetic. Literally. Those were the words in his text message. "This isn't my aesthetic, Rachel. I need space to find myself." He found himself in Portland with a yoga instructor named Meadow. I found myself with a 3-month-old and a stack of bills taller than my nursing textbooks. Nobody asked how I was doing during those years. They didn't visit when Ethan had colic and I hadn't slept in 4 days. They didn't offer to babysit when I had back-to-back shifts, but they did ask if I could help Marcus with rent. Again. The pattern established itself so gradually I barely noticed. Marcus needed seed money for his firm. Mom needed help with property taxes. Dad's medical bills piled up after the heart surgery, and somehow I was the only one with savings. Every time I said yes, they called me generous. Every time I hesitated, they called me selfish, so I learned to say yes faster. It was easier than explaining that I'd been saving for Ethan's braces, or that my car was making a sound like a dying walrus, or that I was wearing scrubs with holes in the pockets because new ones weren't in the budget this month. Ethan grew up watching me bend. He never complained, not even when we ate pasta 4 nights in a row because I'd just wired money to cover Marcus's conference trip to Milan. He never asked why his uncle's kids, Tyler and Madison, had the latest gaming systems and designer sneakers while his shoes had holes in the soles, and we fixed them with duct tape. He just adjusted. Quietly. The way children do when they learn their needs come. Second, by the time Ethan turned 12, I'd perfected the art of invisible sacrifice. I worked, I paid, I showed up, I disappeared. My family praised my reliability the way you praise a washing machine. Functional, necessary, forgotten until something breaks. I remember Marcus's graduation from architecture school. Mom and Dad threw a party, rented out a restaurant, invited everyone they'd ever met. There were speeches about his potential, his vision, his bright future. I was there, of course, paying for part of the catering because Dad's budget had run short. Nobody mentioned my nursing degree. Nobody remembered I'd graduated summa cum laude while working full-time and raising a toddler. But I did remember Marcus telling someone at that party that I'd settled for nursing because I wasn't creative. Enough for something more ambitious. I'd smiled and refilled his champagne glass. That's what I did. I smiled. I filled glasses. I paid bills. I made myself smaller so Marcus could expand. Then came the invitation. Marcus had finally done it. His firm landed a major client. Some tech startup with more money than sense, and a vision for a headquarters that reimagined the relationship between work and wonder. He was celebrating with a weekend at his lake house upstate. The whole family was invited. "Bring Ethan," he said over the phone, his voice warm with success. The cousins would love to see him. Tyler's been asking about him. I doubted that. Tyler was 15 and had spoken maybe 10 words to Ethan in his entire life, most of them variations of move. But I didn't say that. I hesitated. Something in my gut said no. But Ethan's face lit up when I told him. He barely got to spend time with his cousins. Marcus's kids always seemed so polished, so confident, like they belonged to a world Ethan could only glimpse through windows. He wanted to belong to that world, even for a weekend. "Please, Mom?" he said, his eyes shining. I promise I'll be good. That phrase gutted me. I promise I'll be good. As if he had to earn the right to be included. As if his natural state was somehow not good enough, but I said yes. Because I wanted him to have this. Because maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. We went. The lake house was everything Marcus loved to showcase. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking water so blue it looked fake. Designer furniture that probably cost more than my annual salary. A kitchen with appliances I couldn't identify. A dock that stretched into the lake like a runway, complete with a boat that Marcus referred to as the vessel. My parents arrived first, already settled into the master suite. Marcus's wife, Vanessa, greeted us at the door with air kisses that landed somewhere near my ears and a comment about my vintage suitcase. It wasn't vintage. It was just old. There's a difference, but people like Vanessa don't know that. You're in the green room, she said, leading us upstairs. The green room turned out to be barely bigger than a closet, with a single bed and a rollaway cot. Ethan took one look and said, "I'll take the cot, Mom." He always did. Tyler and Madison barely looked up from their phones when we came back downstairs. "Hey," Tyler muttered. Madison just nodded, her thumbs flying across her screen. Ethan stood there, uncertain, until I gently pushed him forward. "Why don't you show them the game you've been working on?" He'd been designing a video game on paper, intricate maps and character stats filling notebooks. He was so proud of it. He pulled out one of his notebooks now, opening to a page covered in careful drawings. Tyler glanced at it for maybe 2 seconds. "Cool, I guess. We mostly play real games, though." Madison didn't even look. Ethan's shoulders sagged, but he smiled anyway. "Yeah, totally. Maybe you could show me what you're playing?" "Maybe later," Tyler said, already turning away. I watched my son's face try to hold on to hope, and something in my chest cracked. The weekend started well enough on the surface. Barbecues where Marcus held court, talking about his vision and his clients and his plans for expansion. Boat rides where Vanessa photographed everything for Instagram, making us wait while she found the right angle. Group dinners where my parents laughed at all of Marcus's jokes, even the ones that weren't funny. Ethan tried. God, he tried so hard. He laughed at the right times, asked interested questions, helped clear dishes without being asked. He was so determined to fit in, to be good enough, that watching him exhausted me. On the second day, we were all on the dock. Marcus was explaining the difference between his boat and some other kind of boat, using words like hull and draft that he'd probably learned that morning. Ethan was listening intently, the way he did when he was trying to learn something. "Uncle Marcus," he said during a pause, "how did you decide to become an architect?" It was a good question. An interested nephew question, but Marcus's face flickered with something like annoyance. "It's complicated," he said shortly. "You wouldn't understand." "I might," Ethan said. "I'm good at math." "Mom says spatial reasoning is—" "Ethan," Marcus interrupted. "Adults are talking." The dock went quiet. Ethan's face flushed red. He mumbled, "Sorry," and moved to the far end, making himself small. Nobody said anything. Mom and Dad kept sipping their drinks. Vanessa was on her phone. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Keeping the peace. Always keeping the peace. That night I heard Marcus tell Vanessa, "I forgot how exhausting kids that age can be. So many questions." "At least Tyler grew out of that phase," she replied. They were talking about my son. Like he was a phase. A problem to outgrow. On the second night, I was helping clean up dinner when I heard raised voices from the living room. Marcus's voice, sharp and irritated. "Jesus Christ, Ethan, can you not touch everything? This isn't a playground." I dropped the dish towel and walked in. Ethan stood frozen near a bookshelf, his hand hovering over a glass sculpture. He hadn't even touched it. His hand was a full 6 inches away. "He was just looking," I said, keeping my tone light, pleasant, non-threatening. Marcus sighed dramatically, like I was missing the point on purpose. "Rachel, he's everywhere. Every room I go into, there he is. Can't you keep him occupied?" The words landed like stones. Keep him occupied. Like Ethan was a pet that needed management. My mother chimed in from the couch, not even looking up from her book. He is a bit much, honey. Maybe he could play outside? Burn off some energy? A bit much. My 12-year-old son, who'd been nothing but polite and eager to please, was a bit much for existing in the same space as them. Dad nodded along. Boys need room to run. When Marcus was that age, we could barely keep him inside. The implication was clear. When Marcus was young, his energy was vitality. When Ethan showed interest, it was intrusion. Come on, kiddo, I said, forcing a smile that hurt my face. Let's go look at the stars. Ethan followed me out, silent. We sat on the dock, our feet dangling over the water. The night was beautiful, stars scattered like diamonds, the lake reflecting them back. It should have been perfect. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then quietly, do they not like me? The question shattered something in my chest. I wanted to lie, to protect him, but he was 12. Old enough to recognize rejection when he saw it. They're just stressed, I said anyway. Uncle Marcus worked hard on this weekend. He wants everything to be perfect. Ethan nodded, but his eyes said he didn't believe me. I tried not to be annoying. You're not annoying. You're wonderful. He leaned against my shoulder. We stayed there until the mosquitoes forced us inside. And even then I wanted to stay out, to keep him in this bubble where it was just us, where nobody made him feel small. The next morning I woke up early for my shift. I was covering someone's weekend at the hospital as usual. Money didn't stop needing to be made just because we were on vacation. A kid in the PICU didn't stop needing care because I wanted a family weekend. I told Ethan I'd be back by dinner, kissed his forehead, and left him with people I thought were family. People I thought would protect him the way family should. I should have known better. I should have seen it coming. But you don't expect cruelty from people you've been funding for years. You expect gratitude, maybe. Or at least basic human decency. You don't expect them to break your child. When I returned that evening, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Everyone was on the back deck, drinks in hand, laughing about something I'd missed. The golden hour light made everything look warm and perfect. A magazine spread of family happiness. Ethan wasn't with them. Where's Ethan? I asked, setting down my bag. Vanessa waved vaguely toward the house, not even looking at me. Upstairs, I think. He's fine. Something in her tone made my skin prickle. He's fine. The way people say it when they know he's not, but don't care enough to do anything about it. I found him in his room, curled on the narrow cot, facing the wall. His shoulders were shaking. The rollaway bed looked even smaller with him on it, like he was trying to take up as little space as possible. Ethan? I sat beside him, my hand on his back. What happened? He didn't turn around. His voice came out thick and small, the voice of someone who's been crying so long they've almost run out of tears. I'm sorry, Mom. Sorry for what? For being a burden. The word landed like a physical blow. All the air left my lungs. Who said that? He finally turned to face me. His eyes were red, swollen. His face was blotchy. He'd been crying for hours. Uncle Marcus. He said I'm a burden. That you work so hard because of me, that if it wasn't for me, you'd be successful like him. My vision blurred. The room tilted. When did he say this? This afternoon. I was asking him about his work because you said I should be interested in what people do, that it's polite to ask questions. And he just... Ethan's voice broke. He said I asked too many questions. That I'm exhausting. That it's not his fault you got stuck with me. Stuck. They'd told my son I was stuck with him. Did anyone else hear this? He nodded. Grandma and Grandpa were there. Madison, too. Nobody said anything. Grandma just said maybe I should go read in my room. So I did. I've been here since lunch. Since lunch. It was almost 7. My son had been alone in this room, crying, believing he was a burden for 6 hours, and nobody came to check on him. Nobody thought to find me, to call me, to do anything. They just left him here and went on with their beautiful lake house afternoon. My hands were shaking. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run downstairs and overturn their perfect dinner table. I wanted to make them feel a fraction of the pain they'd caused my boy. But Ethan was watching me, his face uncertain, waiting to see how bad this was. Waiting for me to confirm that yes, he was a burden. Or waiting for me to tell him it would all be okay. I pulled him close and let him cry into my shoulder. He felt so small, too small to carry words that heavy. His body shook with sobs that sounded like they came from somewhere deep and broken. "Listen to me," I said when he finally quieted. "You are not a burden. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. The only thing I've ever done right. Do you understand?" He nodded against my shoulder, but I wasn't sure he believed me. "Uncle Marcus is wrong. Grandma and Grandpa are wrong. You are not too much. You are exactly right." After a while, his breathing steadied. I tucked him in, made sure his stuffed rabbit was within reach, and stayed until he fell asleep. His face looked younger in sleep, vulnerable. I sat there thinking about all the times I'd let my family make me smaller, and how I'd accidentally taught my son to do the same. Then I went downstairs. They were still on the deck, now on their second bottle of wine. The sunset painted everything gold, beautiful and false. Someone had lit citronella candles. Jazz played softly from outdoor speakers. It looked like a commercial for the life Marcus had always wanted. "Rachel," Mom called out when she saw me. "Come have a drink. You work too hard." I walked straight to Marcus. "Did you call my son a burden?" The deck went silent. The jazz kept playing, oblivious. Marcus's smile faltered, confusion crossing his face. "What? Did you tell Ethan that he's the reason I'm not successful? That I got stuck with him?" He laughed nervously, looking around at everyone else like they might back him up. "Oh, come on. He's being dramatic. We were just talking. He's 12, and he's upstairs crying because his uncle told him he's worthless." "I didn't say worthless," Marcus protested, setting down his wine glass with more force than necessary. "I just said you've had it harder because you're a single mom. That's a fact, Rachel. That's just reality. You said he's a burden." Look, maybe I was frustrated. He was following me around all day, asking a million questions about every little thing. I just needed space. My father cleared his throat, stepping into his mediator role. "Rachel, you're being oversensitive. Marcus didn't mean anything by it. You know how he gets when he's working. His mind is always going. Didn't mean anything?" My voice was rising now, cracking. "He told my child he's the reason I'm not successful." Vanessa set down her glass carefully, like she was handling something fragile. "To be fair, Rachel, you did choose to have a baby alone. That was your decision. Nobody forced you." The words hung in the air like smoke. "Excuse me?" She shrugged, elegant and dismissive. "I'm just saying, you made your choices. Marcus worked hard to get where he is. He sacrificed. He networked. He built something. It's not his fault your life turned out differently." I stared at her, then at Marcus, then at my parents, who were looking away, uncomfortable but silent, unwilling to contradict her, unwilling to defend me or Ethan. "Get out," I said quietly. Marcus blinked. "What?" "Get out of my sight. All of you." My mother stood, her face pinched with disapproval. "Rachel, don't be ridiculous. We're family." "You can't just—" "No," I said, and my voice was steady now, cold. "Family doesn't tell a child he's a burden. Family doesn't stand by and watch it happen. Family doesn't leave a 12-year-old crying alone for 6 hours." Dad tried next. "Now, let's all calm down. Nobody meant to hurt anyone. This is just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. You were there. You heard him. And you said nothing. You told Ethan to go to his room. You chose Marcus's comfort over my son's pain. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a choice." Marcus stood now too, his face reddening. "You're being insane. You're destroying a family weekend over nothing." "Over nothing?" I stepped closer. "My son asked you about your work. He admired you. He wanted to learn from you. And you told him he's the reason my life is hard. That's not nothing, Marcus. That's cruelty." "Oh my God," Vanessa said, rolling her eyes. "This is exactly why we can't have nice things. You're exhausting, Rachel, just like your son." The words hit like lightning. I turned and walked back inside before anyone could respond. My legs carried me on autopilot, up the stairs to Ethan's room. I sat in the chair beside his bed and watched him sleep. This perfect boy they'd reduced to an apology, to a problem, to a burden. The house stayed quiet. Nobody came to apologize. Nobody knocked on the door to make it right. We left the next morning before anyone else woke up. I packed our bags in silence, loaded the car, and gently woke Ethan. He looked confused, then relieved when I told him we were going home. "Are they mad?" he whispered. "I don't care," I whispered back. The drive home was quiet. Ethan stared out the window and I kept my hands steady on the wheel even though they wanted to shake. The anger hadn't left. It had just settled somewhere deep, cold and patient. When we finally pulled into our driveway, our small house with its peeling paint and overgrown garden had never looked better. Ethan turned to me. "Are we going to see them again?" "I don't know," I said honestly. He nodded slowly, processing. "I don't think I want to." "Okay. Will they be mad at you?" "Probably." He thought about that. "I'm sorry." Ethan listened to me. I took his face in my hands, making sure he heard every word. "You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. Do you understand? This is not your fault. What they said, what they did, that's on them, not you." He nodded, and this time I saw belief starting to creep back into his eyes. That night, after he was asleep, I sat at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. The spreadsheet I'd avoided for months stared back at me. Every payment, every loan, every emergency I'd covered. The numbers were staggering. I'd paid for Marcus's office lease 3 times, covered my parents' property taxes twice, funded birthday parties, school supplies, medical copays, car repairs. I'd even paid for renovations to the lake house deck, the same deck where they'd sipped wine while my son cried alone upstairs. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "You overreacted. Call me when you calm down." I didn't call. Instead, I clicked through to my bank's online portal and started canceling automatic transfers. One by one, the standing payments disappeared. Marcus's office rent, Dad's supplemental insurance, Mom's car payment, the monthly allowance I'd been giving them until things stabilized. Each click felt like cutting a rope. Painful, deliberate, necessary. By the time I finished, my chest hurt from holding my breath. The silence in my kitchen was different now. Not empty, full of possibility. The next morning, my phone exploded. 12 missed calls before I even finished my coffee. 15 texts, each more frantic than the last. All from Marcus. Finally, I answered. "What?" "The rent didn't go through," he said, skipping hello, skipping pretense. "I've got a bounce notice. There's a late fee. I've got meetings this week, Rachel. I can't look unprofessional." "I know." Silence. Then, carefully. "Is this because of the weekend?" "This is because I'm done." "Done with what?" "Funding your life while you tell my son he's worthless." "Jesus Christ, Rachel, I apologized." "No, you didn't. You told me I overreacted." "What do you want from me? You want me to grovel? Fine. I'm sorry, okay? Now can you please fix the payment?" "No." The word landed between us like a wall. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean, I'm not paying your bills anymore. I'm not covering your rent, your insurance, your lifestyle. I'm done being the family ATM." "This is insane." His voice was rising now. "You're punishing me over a misunderstanding, over something I said when I was stressed. Ethan's fine. Kids bounce back." My son cried for 6 hours. He asked me if I was stuck with him. If he's the reason my life is hard. He's 12, Marcus. And you put that in his head. I didn't mean, you meant exactly what you said. You think he's a burden. You think I'm less than you because I chose my son over ambition. Well, guess what? You're right. I did choose him, and I'm choosing him now. Over you. Over all of you. Mom and Dad are going to... I hung up. Within an hour, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. On the fourth call, I answered. Rachel, what's this about canceling payments? Her voice was sharp, accusatory. I'm reallocating my budget. You can't just abandon us. Watch me. After everything we've done for you, after we raised you, supported you, I almost laughed. What have you done for me? She sputtered, genuinely confused by the question. We raised you. We supported Marcus's dreams because he needed it more. You were always so independent. You never needed us. Independent, I repeated. That's what you call it when you ignore someone. When you take their money, but not their calls. When you watch them struggle and call it character building. You're being cruel. No, Mom, I'm being done. You're going to regret this. Family is everything. Then act like it. I hung up before she could continue. The texts came in waves after that, a tsunami of guilt and manipulation. You're selfish. You've changed. We needed you. How could you abandon us like this? Ethan has turned you against us. We see what he's doing. That last one made my blood boil. They were blaming my 12-year-old for my decision to stop being their bank. I blocked them all. A week passed. Then 2. The silence was strange at first, unsettling. I kept reaching for my phone to check for messages, for demands, for emergencies that required my money and my immediate attention. But the phone stayed quiet, and slowly, I started to breathe again. Ethan seemed lighter, too. He laughed more, stopped apologizing for existing, started talking about his game design again, showing me new maps he'd drawn, new mechanics he'd invented. The spark that had dimmed at the lake house was coming back. One night, he asked, Mom, are we poor now? No, honey, why? Because you stopped helping Grandma and Grandpa. Tyler said you're rich and they need you. I set down the dish I was washing. Tyler called you? He texted. Said I ruined everything. That his dad might have to close his office because of me. My hands clenched around the dish towel. That's not true. None of that is your fault. But is Uncle Marcus going to lose his business? I don't know. But if he does, it's because he didn't manage it properly. Not because of you. Not because of me stopping payments. Businesses fail when they're built on borrowed money and other people's sacrifices. He thought about that. So we're okay? We're better than okay. We're free. I thought it was over. I thought we'd found our peace. Then my doorbell rang. They stood on my porch like a delegation. Marcus, my parents, even Vanessa. All of them wearing expressions of wounded righteousness, like they were the victims in this story. Can we talk? Mom asked, her voice soft, pleading. No. Rachel, please. We're family. Then act like it. We are acting like family. We came here to work this out. Did you come to apologize to Ethan? Silence. That's what I thought. Marcus stepped forward, his jaw tight. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I was stressed, and I said something stupid. Can we move past this? Did you apologize to Ethan? He blinked, genuinely confused. What? Did you apologize to the person you hurt? He's a kid. He probably doesn't even remember. He remembers every word. He asked me if I was stuck with him. Vanessa sighed dramatically. This is exactly why we need to talk. You're turning this into something bigger than it is. Ethan's fine. Boys are resilient. But you're destroying this family over nothing. Over nothing? I stepped out onto the porch, closing the door behind me so Ethan wouldn't hear. My son cried himself to sleep because his uncle told him he's the reason my life is hard. And you're calling that nothing? My father tried next, using his reasonable voice. Rachel, we're losing the house. Your mother and I can't afford the payments without your help. We'll have nowhere to go. Sell it. That's our home. Then you should have thought about that before you stood by and watched someone hurt my child. You were there, Dad. You heard what Marcus said. And you told Ethan to go to his room? You chose Marcus over him, so no. I'm not saving your house. Marcus's jaw tightened, his face reddening. You know what? Fine, keep your money. But don't come crying to us when you need help. I won't need help from people who hurt my kid. We're not the ones who hurt him, Vanessa said coldly. You did. By raising him to be so sensitive. By not preparing him for the real world. The words hung in the air like poison. Get off my property. Rachel, Mom started. Now. They left after that, trailing anger and disbelief. Their car pulled away slowly, like they expected me to run after them, to change my mind, to apologize. I stood on the porch until the taillights disappeared. Through the window, I saw Ethan watching from the stairs. His eyes were wide but not scared. Maybe a little odd. Did you really just kick them out? He asked when I came back inside. Yeah. Are you okay? I thought about it. Tested the feeling in my chest. I think I am. Are you sad? A little. But mostly I'm relieved. He came down and hugged me, this wonderful boy they'd tried to diminish. I held him tight, thinking about all the years I'd prioritized everyone else's comfort over his worth. Never again. 3 months later, Marcus's firm collapsed. The big client pulled out after Marcus missed too many deadlines. Investors followed. His carefully curated Instagram life unraveled post by post until he finally stopped posting altogether. He called once, his voice different. Smaller. Rachel. I need to talk to you. No, please. Just listen. Did you apologize to Ethan? Silence. That's what I thought. I hung up. My parents did sell the house, downsizing to a condo they could actually afford. They sent a card for Ethan's birthday with $50 inside and a note that said, "We miss you." I threw away the card. I put the $50 in Ethan's college fund. 6 months after the lake house, Ethan came home from school excited. Mom, I joined the game design club. We're making an actual video game. On computers and everything. That's wonderful, honey. And the teacher said I have a real talent for world building. She said my maps are some of the best she's seen. I pulled him into a hug. This boy who'd been told he asked too many questions, who'd been made to feel like a burden for being curious and eager and alive. I'm so proud of you. Do you think Uncle Marcus would want to see it? My heart clenched. Why? Because he's an architect. He designs spaces. I thought maybe he'd think it was cool. I knelt down so we were eye to eye. Ethan, people who love you don't need to be impressed to spend time with you. They don't need you to be smaller or quieter or less curious. They love you because you're you. He thought about that. So he didn't love me? I don't think he knew how. Do you think he ever will? I don't know. But we can't wait around hoping. We've got our own life to live. He nodded slowly, then brightened. Can we get pizza for dinner? I want to tell you about all the levels I designed. Absolutely. That night, he talked for an hour straight about his game. About the mechanics and the story and the characters. He barely stopped to breathe. He was loud and enthusiastic and so completely himself. And I didn't tell him to quiet down once. A year later, everything looks different. Ethan's thriving. He's 13 now, taller, more confident. He fills rooms instead of shrinking in them. He asks questions without apologizing. He takes up space like he has every right to because he does. We went to the lake last month. A different lake, one without memories of crying alone or being called a burden. Ethan stood at the water's edge and asked, "Do you ever miss them?" I thought about it honestly. Sometimes, but I don't miss how they made us feel. He nodded, understanding. I like it better now. Just us. Me too, kiddo. He picked up a stone and threw it into the water. It skipped 3 times before sinking, and he grinned like he'd won something. And maybe he had. Maybe we both had. Because family isn't supposed to make you smaller. It's not supposed to cost your peace or your child's sense of worth. It's not supposed to require you to choose between being loved and being yourself. And if it does, then maybe it's not really family at all. Maybe it's just people you're finally allowed to walk away from. So when people ask if I went too far, if I should give them another chance, if family deserves forgiveness, I think about Ethan's smile. I think about how he doesn't flinch anymore when someone raises their voice. I think about the way he talks about his dreams now, confident that someone will listen. And I know I didn't go far enough. I should have left years ago. But at least I left when it mattered most. At least I chose my son over their comfort. At least I taught him that love doesn't require you to be smaller, quieter, or less yourself. At least I taught him he was worth choosing. And in the end, that's the only thing that matters.